Hey guys, I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and today I'm going to be talking about two relatively new releases. As you can see, I'm enjoying the swimming pool in the heat of summer. In the past few days here in East Tennessee, we've had among the hottest days of the year. So that begs the question, in the high heat of summer, are there fragrances that are going to last and not die out? Is there something that I could wear that could stay on my skin? That holy grail that we're all looking for of performance. There are some fragrances out there that will work well. When we return, we're going to talk about a couple new releases though that are using the word extreme. We're going to see if they deserve the name or if it's a little bit of misdirection. That's right, I'm talking about 2020 release from the house of Azzaro, Azzaro Chrome Extreme. And then we're going to take a look at the house of Guerlain, which is a new, relatively new release, and that is L'Homme Ideal Extreme. So we're going to take a look at these two guys, see how they compare, take a look at the note breakdown, that and more when we return, so stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. You've heard of the phrase, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Well, I couldn't stand the heat, so I got out of the pool. We're back in AC, and we're going to get straight to our overview of L'Homme Ideal Extreme by Guerlain, and of course, Azzaro Chrome Extreme. Now, back in 1996, Azaro released one of their flagship fragrances called Azzaro Chrome, and it went on to become one of the most popular designer fragrances in the subsector of affordable designer men's fragrances because of its high quality and its low price point. Now, it also wasn't trying to be a clone of anything else. Maybe it was inspired by something, but not necessarily anything in particular. So it was really doing its own thing. And a lot of people gave Azzaro kudos for that. And as such, every release since then has had some form of quality that's really kept Azzaro up there in terms of great designer houses that releases consistently good fragrances. So the big question is the word extreme more of a description, like an adjective of what the fragrance is, or is it more of a nom de plume, kind of like a misdirection, and not necessarily living up to the name? That's what we're here to discover today, both with Chrome Extreme and Guerlain's L'Homme Ideal Extreme. I was able to borrow these from my best friend in the fragrance community, Ashton, from GentSense. So if you've seen these batch codes before, I believe his most recent usage of this was in a first impressions video. However, this is not a first impressions video. I've actually given these several days wear, wrote some notes about them, developed and formed opinions about them, and I'm really happy to share these with you today. I'm just going to show you the front, the back, and then the bottom with the batch code there. Of course, the A for Azaro on top. We're not going to linger too long on the actual presentation. This is a 1.7 ounce or 50 ml bottle, and the bottle shape is exactly the same as the original Chrome release. Now, this is a limited edition Chrome release, so it does have a graphic on the background there. Just ignore that, otherwise it's exactly the same bottle back in 1996 that was used. As you can see, the difference in size, but the presentation is exactly the same. I will give you guys that are interested in the batch code a glimpse of the bottom sticker there. Hopefully you can catch. Now let's talk about the juice. Again, I've worn this for several days. I have to say, overall, generally speaking, it is a very worthy flanker in the Chrome line, and I really, really like it. A couple of things that I'll tell you about. Chrome Extreme opens up bright and citrusy and green with a modicum of orange, owing of course to the mandarin, the green mandarin that's in the notes here in the top. So it's very bright, it's very citrusy. Later on, when you start coming into the mid and that citrus starts burning away a little bit, you get a little bit of a bite or a kick from the juniper berries. Now, the juniper berries are location specific. In this case, they are Macedonian juniper berries. Now, I've left a link in the description below YouTube video of an actual crop of Macedonian juniper berries if you're interested in knowing a little bit more like why the differentiation in location, because some locations produce different smelling or tasting, as it were, berries if they're edible than do other locations. And so there's some reasons why certain locations are preferred if you want to get a certain edge to your spice or to your fragrant note. It's hard to believe after that many years there have been that many releases, but Chrome has seen 15 releases. This is number 15. So it's number 15. It's the first one that has the word extreme in it. And it's also the first EDP or eau de parfum in the line. So the expectation is with a higher concentration of oils, we're going to get a deeper, richer, darker experience that lasts longer. Is that the case? Well, we're going to find out. As mentioned, this opens up very bright, very green, very citrusy. As it dries down, you get that juniper berry kick, that bite, that little bit of a bracing bite there. And also, you do have a vibe that is very reminiscent of Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme Light Blue Eau Intense, Bulgari Aqua Pour Homme Atlantique, Hugo Now, any number of blue fragrances that have aquatic notes in them or water molecule notes like calypsone and others. You've also got that marine warmth to it that is a little bit salty and a little bit briny that lets you know that this is an aquatic fragrance. It's very much an aquatic fragrance. There's no mistaking, especially in the mid to the dry down. But the best of the top notes and the mid notes are encapsulated as well, so it does keep that. It keeps that little bit of citrus, it keeps that bracing juniper berry specifically, and that light, salty, but very aquatic marine feel to it in the dry down. So that does stay with the fragrance. I'm happy to report that stays with the fragrance, and primarily that's what makes up the scent profile of Chrome Extreme. So let's talk a little bit about the notes in Azzaro Chrome Extreme, because it's a relatively simple note breakdown. This fragrance is not super complex at all. It's like that meme, you had one job. This has one job, and it does it really well. It's a fairly linear fragrance. So in the top, you've got Italian green mandarin. In the mid, you've got juniper berries that do come from Macedonia. Now it's interesting in Parfumo.net, in the mid, they put a note in there called spindrift. It almost sounds like a made up note. Now I did a little bit of research. It sounds like spindrift might be an aroma chemical, like a water molecule aroma chemical, but it sounds like it's something like when a wave is cresting at the very top, you can call that the spindrift of the wave, meaning it captures like the essence when a breeze hits the top of the wave and you get that little bit of marine, that brine, and that fresh aquatic. That's kind of like what that is. So I don't know if that's a real thing or if it's made up, but I would actually have to agree that it captures that. If that's what is in the essence of whatever aroma chemical that they've used in this that's not been listed, I would agree that they've definitely captured the essence of that, the crest of a wave, which is pretty cool. Now going down into the base, we have that warm, sensual, seductive amber and cashmere. So that's kind of a relatively new combination of base notes or fixative notes, amber and cashmere, or cashmere wood, some people call it, but cashmere is really just the, again, aroma chemical. It is absolutely one of my favorite notes. Both of those are my favorite notes together, which could be why I like this fragrance so much. It is very warm, it is very woody, it pulls everything together and completes it. But I only do get about 5 to 6 hours longevity out of this. And again, that I captured that in my notes. In particular, what I was looking for was longevity, because there's nothing necessarily extreme about the scent profile. When you smell this, you're not going to be like, whoa, that's extreme. So I was looking for it to be maybe extreme in its longevity, but it only turns out that it's average. But that's okay. That doesn't mean you're getting ripped off or you're not getting your money's worth. Right now, because it's a new release, you can get this at department stores like Dillard's, Sephora, Macy's, and others for right around 70 bucks or so for a 50 mil and about 100 bucks for 100 mil. That's definitely not something I recommend paying for this, because it's going to hit discounters before too long, and then it's going to be anywhere from the $30 to $50 price range, and that's when it's going to be well worth it to pick up. Great for high heat. I wore this in 97-degree weather and 75% humidity. I say that like that's a big deal when some people live that every day, but here in East Tennessee, that's not something we're used to. Azzaro Chrome Extreme is a solid men's fragrance that's best utilized in spring and summer for casual daytime and nighttime wear. Being a chrome flanker, it's extremely versatile and signature scent worthy in my opinion. Throughout its pyramid cycle, Chrome Extreme maintains its masculine clean streak. It's a very smooth, almost creamy clean in the way that the shower gel phrase is often used to describe shower gel-like fragrances. Creamy clean would reference the graduation point of soapy, sudsy, creamy, clean fragrances similar to Prada L'Homme. Let's see, you've got Dunhill's Century. You've even got Perry Ellis 360. These are all within the same vein of fragrances in terms of their soapy, sudsy, clean streak. Clean streak to me is kind of the new shower gel. That's it in a nutshell for Chrome Extreme. Now let's turn our attention to a Guerlain release, and that is L'Homme Ideal Extreme. Is it deserving of its name? I'm not going to keep you in suspense. Absolutely, this one is a lot more deserving of the name Extreme than is Chrome Extreme. Because as you'll discover in just a moment, it matches up really, really well with the original L'Homme Ideal cologne, which again, concentration wise, this is the lighter version of this fragrance. Absolutely love this fragrance. Whereas this one, however, is heavy on the orange side with a little bit of almond. This one is heavy on the almond side with a little bit of orange. So to me, it is a vast improvement, if that's even possible, over the scent profile. Absolutely love this fragrance. Now, as I gave you just a brief overview of the box, I'm going to do the same here. You can see logo at the top, barcode, SKU, and additional product information, sides, or just that like stripe going around it. And on the very back, it says, L'Homme Ideal, man is a myth, his fragrance a reality. Oh yeah. And if you flash the QRC code, you'll get additional information. I don't know if you can flash it through this video. I'll try to hold it still long enough for those of you that are interested in doing that if you've got a QRC code reader. And then it's just got the ingredients listing. Now let's go ahead and take out this bottle. My wife really likes these bottles. I do too. I think they're really cool. She likes the lids on them. So as you can see, the bottles are exactly the same. The difference, of course, is that you have white going around the L'Homme Ideal cologne. The L'Homme Ideal Extreme is just clear around it, which that's just a nominal aesthetic difference and not a huge difference. We're interested, however, in more in the juice. So again, I'll give you a little bit of a close-up view of that. There's the front. It looks like OB01 or 0B01 is the batch there, for those of you interested. This is considered a sweet oriental fragrance. The original was released back in 2015. This is a 2019 release. This was unfortunately a slow burn. What I mean by that, it's almost like those films like Mandy that came out, and not everyone was turned on to it, but eventually word got around that this is, hey, this is a masterpiece. This is really good. It's crazy. And it kind of had a cult following to the point that this is now, I don't know why manufacturers do this, but it's discontinued. Discontinued fragrances. I put this actually in a cheapy list, and then the price doubled almost overnight. So it's getting harder and harder to find at a discounted rate. You can find one at a good deal at a rack store. If you happen to go to a clearance section of a rack store and you see Guerlain's L'Homme Ideal cologne, I would highly recommend grabbing as many bottles as they have. They have 2 or 3, because you're going to really, especially if it's a good price, you'll definitely maximize your savings. The perfumist of L'Homme Ideal Extreme is Terry Wasser, and the note breakdown. In the top, you've got bergamot, pink pepper, and almond. In the mid, you've got cinnamon, heliotrope, and plum. And in the base, you've got patchouli, tobacco, cedar, and leather. Wonderful mix of almost all of my favorite notes are in this fragrance. I can't recommend this fragrance enough. It is so enjoyable. Now, if you're like me and you do like a little bit darker winter, more complex, rich, deeply layered fragrances that are typically associated with cooler weather, wintertime, yet have a bright side to them. And again, that's the amazing thing about this fragrance is I'm wearing it in 96, 97 degree weather, and it's performing like a fragrance made for spring and summer. So this one has, it's like 2 sides to the same coin. This one has a sensibility about it that does allow you to wear it, that versatility for spring and summer, but it's also got those darker, rich notes like dark plum, tobacco, leather, that allow it to be like those other wintertime or cooler weather fragrances that you layer up on, that have that darker, richer, like nestling quality to it. It's a wonderful, wonderful fragrance. Now, what I mentioned before, whereas the L'Homme Ideal cologne is higher on the like bitter orange side, this one is higher up on the almond. So that it's got a nice creamy sweetness to it, owing to the almond, and that actually stays even though it settles down a little bit, but it works very well in concert with the other notes that bring it that summertime sensibility. So it stays, however, into the dry down, and that's what makes this, to me, a better Extreme, a better version of the Extreme than does Azzaro Chrome Extreme. Perhaps the reason Guerlain discontinued L'Homme Ideal cologne was that they knew they were going to try to come out with a better or upgraded version of this, because that's actually what I would call this. It is definitely an upgraded version of the cologne. And if you like more almond, more like a creamy, sweet almond than you do an orange, then this is definitely going to be the one that you want to grab first over the cologne, or obviously depending upon how much you're paying, get them both. Now that note breakdown does lend itself to great spring and summer day and nighttime wear. It's going to be a wonderful nighttime fragrance as the weather cools down a little bit, and because owing to the sweetness of this fragrance and its almost gourmand-like quality, it's also going to work very well in the dating arena, so this will make a great date night fragrance as well. Well guys, that's it for my brief coverage of Azzaro Chrome Extreme and Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Extreme. These two extremes, in my estimation, are very well worth owning. In the case of Azzaro Chrome Extreme, the extreme is more just part of the title, just part of the name, than it is an adjective describing the fragrance itself. In the case of Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Extreme, it is more an adjective actually describing the state of the fragrance itself. It's definitely an extreme version of the original cologne. So both of them extremely enjoyable. Both of them have a place on your shelf in rotation. Wait for the price to go down though. They are fairly new. I don't think L'Homme Ideal Extreme is even available in the US yet, so you still have to get it overseas. Go ahead and wait till it hits discounters, but once it does, you definitely want to grab it up because they're very well worth owning and a wonderful addition to the line, a great nod to the quality of the houses in question, and I think you'll really enjoy them. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by and watching my video. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you next time.
My skin is crispy right now.